So I call myself KJ52 for a reason. In John 6:9, actually the whole chapter of John 6, it talks about Jesus dealing with this massive crowd and wanting to be able to feed them, and talking to his disciples and saying, how are we going to feed these people? And them kind of getting perplexed, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say. One person actually steps up, actually a little boy steps up and offers what he had. It wasn't much, it was 5 loaves and 2 fish, but he offered it to Jesus with the idea that he could do something with it. I always thought it was funny that the disciples, the ones that hung out with Christ all the time, totally did not get the principle of what God can do with the very little. And when we talk about talent, when we talk about gifts or abilities or those type of things, I think a lot of times we get frustrated because we look at other people and go, man, I wish I had what they had. They're so talented. They're so able to do what they do so easily. What we fail to realize is that in John 6:9, Jesus took a very small amount of something and he multiplied it. And I call myself KJ52 because to remind myself that God is always in the business of taking the most unlikely people, some of the people that kind of get blown off or written off, and using them and multiplying what they have. It even says that before he fed the 5,000 some odd people with these 5 loaves and 2 fish, it says he broke it. It says he broke those pieces of bread, and he broke those fish, and then he distributed it. And it just reminds me of that I have to always live in a state of being broken. If I want God to use my music, if I want God to use me, I have to live in a state of going, God, break down the things in my life that don't line up with you. No matter how much I have, whether I'm super talented or just a little bit talented, God is always in the business of giving us more if we're willing to put it in his hands.
All right, so the number one thing I get all the time is, KJ, how do you learn how to freestyle? How do you improve at the ability of freestyling? If you don't know what freestyling is, it's basically where you make up a rhyme as you go along, sort of impromptu, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you get better at doing something that a lot of people, well, just can't do? I started freestyling a long time ago, and I did it with the idea that I was always trying to be able to come up on the spot with something to rhyme about, and I just kind of tried to find a way that would set me apart than the average rapper, the average MC. So little tips and tricks that I did a long time ago to sort of build that, I realized that freestyling is nothing more than building a dictionary in your head, a rhyming dictionary. So if I see one word, automatically I have 2 or 3 words that I can rhyme off it on the spot. But all that really just comes through practice and repetition. You don't have that rhyming dictionary when you start off. You don't have the ability to just go off the head. It's just something that you do over time with practice, nonstop practice, constant practice. The other part that most people don't know about freestyling is that a lot of it comes from your confidence. It comes from being in a relaxed state of mind. Because you're just flowing in the moment, because you're making rhymes up as you go along, if you start to overthink it, generally then you start to fall off, is what we call, or you start to clutch. And for those who don't know what clutching is in freestyling, it's where you start to repeat the same word. I used to call it the fallback word, because when I was rhyming and I would forget on what I was going to say next, I would fall back on one particular word to get me to the next rhyme. So the more confident you are, the more relaxed you are, the more you're sort of what we call in the zone, the easier it is to freestyle. Now, again, all these things come through time, through repetition, and through constant practice. And a couple just little things you can do that I would do is put on a beat and open up a dictionary. Now, as the beat's rhyming, put the beat on that you like the most, something that really, as we used to call, gets you open. And whatever, close your eyes, open the book, and the first word that your finger falls on, rhyme about it. Rhyme for as long as you can about it. Rhyme different patterns with it. And use that as a way to sort of build your rhyming dictionary in your head. Another thing we used to do to build our rhyming dictionary was we would rhyme down the alphabet. What I'm talking about, so picture I'm going A, B, C, D, E, F, G, et cetera, et cetera. So the rhyme would be something like, I came here and you know I'm about to ask. Sit on back, let the rhymes just blast. You're in a car and you're going to crash. Get out the car and you've got to dash. Now I know it sounds incredibly basic and sounds very hokey and old school, but the reality is it's not really about the most dopest flow in that case. It's really about just learning how to take one phrase, one rhyming phrase, and continue it out as long as you can. And the more you can do that, the better your freestyles will be, the better your confidence will be, and the better you'll be able to do it, et cetera, et cetera. So get out there, practice, do it, and make it happen.